Hey guys, let's check out this review of Super Mario RPG. I didn't play the original one, but I've heard a lot about this new remake, so let's check it out.
Odds are good you've seen Mario stomp a Goomba or kick a Koopa shell before.
Yep,
but you might
classic.
not have seen him punch a giant lady riding a floating banana right in the shins.
I haven't seen that yet.
Super Mario RPG is easily
What?
one of the quirkiest
You can bake a
adventures
cake in this
Mustachio
game?
Plumber has ever been
You
on,
fools.
rightly becoming a standout when Final Fantasy developer Square first released it nearly 3 decades ago. Its 2023 remake is an incredibly faithful recreation
graphics
of that
look great.
already awesome RPG, with a fresh coat of paint and some small but smart combat updates. Those changes can't completely shake off 27 years
Princess.
of dust, but
What
they
would a
do
Mario
provide
game be without
fantastic way for
Princess?
fans like me to
She always
revisit
needs
this
rescuing.
classic, while also letting new folk better enjoy just how wild it is firsthand.
Really good detail there with the graphics. Look at that lightning.
Bucking the usual setup,
There's
this
Mario's
entertaining
house.
story kicks off with Mario rushing to Bowser's Keep and immediately rescuing a kidnapped Princess Peach. But before
Gotta
they
rescue
can
her.
return home, a giant sword with a face crashes through the castle roof and sends all 3 of them flying.
This is pretty much how every Mario
From
game
there,
starts,
Mario
right?
has to fight lots of living weapons up to no good and collect 7 star pieces in order to save the Mushroom Kingdom.
Yay, star.
It's not a long tale, taking me just about 12 hours to finish, though I've done so before on Super Nintendo, but the writing is so consistently funny and often off the wall that this essentially unchanged
Can't sleep in
script
Princess's
still had me
bed, apparently.
frequently laughing out loud.
That could be a problem.
Super Mario RPG's turn-based combat is extremely straightforward, pitting you against all sorts of
Was
weird
that a
and
carrot?
creative enemies, from your standard Mario monsters
What was
like
he throwing, like
Goombas to the
pellets at him or
skeletal corpse
something?
of a mastodon that has literally zero explanation. It fuses timing-based button prompts into your otherwise recognizable mix of basic attacks and resource-limited spells. That means you'll get a satisfying boost for a well-timed
Is that a
A press
mouse?
on offense, and
Yeah,
for
I'm very
reduced
familiar
damage
with
or even
those,
none
if
at
you know
all
what I
on
mean.
defense. This system still rocks, and it's easy to see why it influenced so many games that came after it, from Paper Mario to the South Park RPGs.
Kind of like the
That said,
turn-based
it's worth mentioning that
combat.
while it's always very fun,
Look at
combat
that
is
lightning,
also borderline
jeez.
comically fast a lot of the time, sending you into super easy fights just as quickly as you're likely
You
to finish
win.
them. The really interesting encounters are reserved for a fairly wide array of
He
inventive
ate 'em?
bosses. Those include a strange sort of dog monster that creates clones of your party members, as well as a living
that's
bow
cool.
who
I
cleverly
like the clone.
disables buttons on your controller to prevent specific types of moves. They still don't usually pose much of a threat, but boss gimmicks like
What is
this
that?
shake up battles nicely.
Looks like a teardrop.
Combat is also the place this remake has been altered most substantially. Button timings now give a bigger bonus for a super precise press, even adding a splash damage effect to your basic attacks that made me more thoughtful about how I distributed damage in standard encounters. Chaining together well-timed presses also fills up a gauge to use on powerful new triple moves, each of which comes with
flying.
an awesome 3D cutscene.
Whoa, look at that. Raining stars down. That's
These
crazy.
updates don't
That's a crazy
necessarily make the
attack. Is that like an
combat feel as
ultimate
modern
or
as
something?
deep as many of the games inspired by the original, but they do help breathe fresh life into a system that needed a little bit by now. One part of that system that's still a ton of fun is its varied selection of weapons.
That rat.
Rather than only being a statistical increase, new weapons also alter attack animations, and as a result, attack timings. Mario could kick a Koopa shell or smash baddies with a hammer, while the lovable Mallow can go from swinging a stick to crashing cymbals together. Bowser, who rounds out your party alongside the mysterious Geno
That's so
and
cool
Princess
they've
Peach herself,
created all
is
those
probably
different
the best
attacks.
weapon
I mean,
option. A
throwing
glove
Mario
that
at
lets
him,
him
that's
hurl
crazy.
Mario as a projectile. I loved that each time I switched weapons, I had to retrain my muscle memory, which is made easier here by a smart new prompt
Smashing
that
him?
guides the timing of each newly encountered move until you nail it a few times. The rub of this extremely amusing weapon system, however, is that you don't have
This
much
looks like
control over
this
it.
gives me
There are
little
plenty of
Red
fun
Riding
optional
Hood
tasks to
vibes.
do and secrets to uncover, but this is generally a very linear game, and each new weapon you find will almost always just be statistically better than the last.
Symbols are
with
only
no
42
comparable
gold.
alternatives to decide between. That's true of your defensive items too, leaving the RPG part of Super Mario RPG a little thin, as you don't really customize your characters much past a single accessory slot.
Yeah, I mean, how
Instead,
much are you
the
really
lifeblood
gonna
of this campaign is its
customize Mario?
variety.
Because
It's easy
I
to
mean,
enjoy some fairly simple combat.
has
and
to look that
progression
way.
when you're never in the same setting
It's
long enough
Mario.
to ever come near getting bored. You'll jump from classic Mario sewers to a ghost-filled sunken pirate ship, from a minigame where you're barreling down a
Swim up
waterfall
there.
collecting coins, to one where you're running up a hill trying to
Oh,
save
wow.
Princess Peach.
That's
From fighting
cool.
a crazed bomb person to a living wedding cake. This
A
world could
cake?
have so easily crumbled into a hodgepodge of disparate ideas, but instead they come together to make a strangely coherent and delightfully unique whole. Especially when you occasionally remember that
like
this
that
is
text, like
somehow
a-
still
some
a
kind of
Mario
pellets or
game.
something you throw
Like,
at 'em.
Here's Mario having to be held back from punching a literal child. Just incredible stuff.
Don't punch children. Don't do that. That would be bad, Mario.
Super Mario RPG's new 3D graphics are impressively faithful to the original's pre-rendered 3D art style, and the resulting look is, I don't know, it's fine? I don't mean to undersell it. It can look quite nice, especially
it looks
in
good.
super cool new cutscenes.
I think it looks great, actually.
But I can't help but feel like some of the original's personality has been lost in the
See, I
translation
never
here.
played this
Models and
original one,
environments are
but,
updated almost one
I mean, the new one looks
leaving them
fine.
looking shiny and new, but removing some of the charm the lo-fi pre-rendered look naturally
This is kinda
had.
charming, though,
When I look at
the way
other
it looked
Switch
there.
remakes like Link's Awakening or Live Alive, I end up wishing this one had found a bit of its own flavor inspired by that Super Nintendo look, rather than just making the closest approximation it could manage. One area that has been masterfully modernized, however, is the soundtrack. Super
Sound
Mario
player.
RPG's music has been burned into
Nice.
my brain since childhood, and these new takes on those songs are absolutely great. They're perfectly reverent while adding impressive layers of instrumentation and nuance, capturing their spirits while bringing something new to the table in the exact way I wished the graphics had.
Like this jam?
And speaking of new, this isn't just the adventure oldies like me might remember. The base campaign has remained relatively untouched in terms of content, but an entirely new post-game lets you explore for secrets you
Hidden
may have missed
treasure.
after the credits roll, while also including some impressive extra challenges to push your limits. Avoiding showing any specific spoilers, that includes extremely clever twists on certain fights that require a deeper use of the combat system and its various mechanics in a way I appreciated. I sort of wish these well-designed encounters hadn't been saved exclusively for an endgame grind, but I like that the added difficulty is there for those left hungry by the main story.
That's
There's
cool that
also
they
a
added new content at
comprehensive
the end.
monster list to fill out, with check marks and funny little quotes for every enemy you manage to successfully time Mallow's
Yeah, I'd
thought
probably-
ability on, giving
I'd
me
be
a
collecting
completionist goal to
monsters
chase even
here
as combat stayed overly easy.
If I play this game.
However, about a third of the way through the campaign, the menu started suffering from some seriously unexpected frame rate drops. I didn't really run into any technical
weird.
issues besides this.
Usually,
and it's a little hard to
Mario
see
games
here,
don't really
but it
have
was
any
obnoxious
technical
enough that
problems.
Managing my party, checking my items, or revisiting all those silly quotes
Usually
I had
pretty
collected
solid.
could feel like a bit of a chore, which is a bummer. I guess that next-gen Switch still can't get here soon enough.
All right, guys, what's the verdict? What do we think?
Super Mario RPG is considered a classic for a reason, and this wonderfully faithful remake makes it easy for anyone who missed it in the Super Nintendo era to see why. It's unabashedly odd, reveling in the unexpected with writing that constantly had me bursting out laughing. Its turn-based combat is fairly simple outside of its very clever boss fights, but it's also ultra satisfying to keep your timing string going even when you're plowing through pushovers. And while the
Looks
updated
nice.
graphics are equal parts pretty and sort of weirdly unambitious, with some unfortunate menu lag to boot, the new takes on its excellent music are truly exceptional. Super Mario RPG already held up pretty well if you didn't mind a bit of dust on its system.
Okay, so it's a
but now
great.
there's no
I gave it an
excuse
8.
not to see why Mario's most unexpected adventure is
Might have
still
to try
so
it.
beloved. For more Mario, check out our review of Super Mario.
Have you guys
Brothers
tried this
Wonder,
game?
and for more turn-based
Let me know in the
combat with
comments
timing
what you
elements,
think.
Our review of Thirsty Suitors.
And we'll see you guys
For
in the
everything
next one.
else, keep it right here